Okay, so what I'd like to do here is go over the Word Practical 1 exam, chapters 1 through 3. So the idea here is that you're going to take what you've learned and actually put it into use. And in some ways, I think this might be more enjoyable because you're not restricted by the lessons and exams that made you do it exactly as they wanted it. So what I'd like to do is walk you through this work. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead. I've already logged into my IT lab and I've actually already taken it and played with it to see how it works. I want to give you some of the things I found and just show you how to approach this. So just to back up one, we are in the Word section. By now you should have gotten through the training and exams for these. And then you work on the practical exams, and this is the one that's worth the highest percentage because it takes these ideas and puts them together. So you can see in this case I've attempted it 4 times and I've actually given you unlimited attempts at this. So let's just walk through it one more time, because every time I go in, so the first time you do it as well, you click on it and then it'll open up a window. So even though I've taken it before, I'm starting another attempt. Okay? So that you start with the downloaded materials, you work on the assignment, and you upload it and complete it. Now you don't have to do this all in one sitting. You can do it, start it and do it in multiple steps or multiple locations. But we'll talk about what that would look like. So one thing, especially for students in the lab, and let's just go ahead and do this download. You can either download the files individually, or you can download them all at once. And I recommend downloading them all at once into the zip file. So I'm going to go ahead, download all files. And what it does is it downloads one zip file. It's called starting materials. And I'm going to show you this file. So you can see here, and if I show, and I'm using Chrome in this case, I'm going to show in the folder. I see it went to my downloads, and even though I have a lot of files here, if you scroll here you can see it. So what I'm going to do is double click on it. So what this is showing me is the contents of the zip file. I'm recommending for students working out of labs that you have a USB at this point, so that the next step you can place these files onto a USB. I would also recommend this for anyone needing to come into the lab to complete the work, because once you leave a lab location, those files are going to be gone and you won't be able to upload them assuming you haven't finished. So I'm going to do this very important step, which is going to take this one zip file and it's going to extract all the files. So here it's asking me for a location. So in this case you can see I've done it before. I have already put it in, but I'm going to go ahead and put it on my desktop because that's always a good way to do it. Now just to be clear here, if you're using a USB, you would go to your computer and then you would find your USB, and that's where you would have this unzip happen. So I'm going to do it on the desktop, but I want you to know that's how you would do it. Okay, and then I'm going to hit extract. I guess I have done this before. Okay, so in this case I'll just say copy and, oh actually I don't want to do this, and I'll tell you why in a minute. I'm going to actually hit cancel. I'm going to do this one more time and I'll explain why in a second. So I'm going to do extract all again, and in this case I had actually loaded something to the desktop, so I'm going to go ahead and leave it as it is and hit extract because the process is the same. So now, and this is important to know, is now it doesn't have that extract, which tells you you're working in the files that are on, in this case, my download starting material. Okay? Alright, so that's part of this work, is just understanding, and I'm going to close some windows here to kind of clean things up, is that is the idea, is that you first want to download the files to get started. Okay? So I'm going to close this. So now at this point in the submission back here, what you can go ahead and do is return to the course, because basically what you've done is you've started and submission. So by the way, notice all the steps are down here. They actually are also included in your file, which is nice. So if you don't hit submit for grading until you've done step 3. So let me return to the course, and it'll give me this little warning, and I'll say yes, right? Because I haven't actually uploaded anything and I'm fine. So here are the files in my computer. Now, the thing I will tell you, and I've completed this work, is that it really does work best if you have Word 2003. Okay, so there's a file, the first file in my listing here. If I double click on it, what happens there is it actually opens up whatever version of Word I happen to have. So in my case, and I'm going to have a different video, and actually I think I'll talk about this in lecture this week, is the idea of where do you get Microsoft Office, because you do have to buy it, and you can use an older version, but I will tell you it works best if you have 2013. Okay, so here are all the steps you need to do, and this tells you the points possible, which is really great. Tells you exactly what you need to do. I think the instructions are actually pretty good here. Okay, if you follow them, and here's the other thing I would tell you is just to slow down, read carefully exactly what it wants you to do, and periodically take breaks from this stuff. Like do it for 40 minutes, take a break, move away from the computer and come back to it, because often just this kind of focused time over time, will make it harder for you to focus. So take breaks periodically. So here's one thing I do. I actually have the instructions up, and I have them depending on your screen. I'm going to go ahead because I had it already open. Depending on my screen, I like to have these up so I can actually just look at them. And then I'm going to come over here, and this is the file that is the file you will end up submitting. So I'm going to double click here, and now this is the starting file. Okay, so here's what I like to do. So I like to have my and I actually like to have as much of the screen real estate for my document as I can. Okay, so then I arrange my screen so that I can look and do, and I think that works best. Okay, so here is the starting document that you will then apply all of these things to. I didn't really find that I was tripped up by anything here. Everything you've learned in the lesson and the exams for 1, 2, and 3 you're applying here. And I think this is a really great, and we call this a capstone, where you take all these skills and you really apply them. But I will show you, having said that, I will show you the completed document so you can see what it looks like, because honestly that's what I had on my desktop. Okay, so the one, now in this case, see all these files, and you might go, well, which one do? I just go to the computer. Okay, I'm going to go to my desktop, and I'm going to pull up the one that I was working on earlier, which was this one. So this is the completed file. Okay, so you're going to do that border and shading that they taught you again and again and again. You're going to do some bullets. Okay, you're going to do some text changes. Here's more of that border and shading and font styles. Very important here, as I definitely would have in your home group this paragraph marker turned on. This really is key to doing good formatting. Okay, make sure that when you select things, you're not removing page breaks or section breaks. Those are important. They go in there. Here's a table formatting. This was really right out of the lesson and exam. Again, making sure your paragraph markers are there. So this is a short report. You're going to do some citations like you've done before. You're going to format these things the way they want you to format them. Here you did a little bit of changes. I don't really remember too much on this one. This is just the end of that report. And then here you have a works cited. Pretty cool, pretty easy. And then the last thing, two last things actually, here is a flyer, so you can see some of the borders and shading again, some of the, and actually this is one of the, I'll show you this in a minute, how you can tell which ones you got wrong and you can resubmit. Here's those smart graphics, which is kind of fun. And at the very end, you do this mel merge to create kind of like a name label, okay? So this is submitted, this is the completed document I submitted. So I want you to know that. So I've gone through all the steps, right? I've gone through every one to the end. All right, so now that I've done that, now I'm going to go back, close this out. I'm going to go back to my IT lab, and now I'm going to come back in because again, I've already started this and now it's waiting for my submission. Okay, so that's where I would upload the document, go find the file that I had selected, Okay, again, if you're using a USB, right, that would be the key to that, is choosing the file that you used. Okay, and then once you do that, you upload it. Okay, and when you upload it, it'll give you a little message, and here is the key, is you submit for grading. Now you'll get a little message here when you do that. Okay, so I want you to know that's how you, and so once you submit for grading, and then it'll give you a message saying you're going to return to the My IT Lab. So upload, submit for grading, and then you're good to go. I'm going to go ahead and return to the course because in this case I haven't submitted this grading, but here's what I want you to know now that you've gotten through this, is that I allow multiple attempts here, pretty much unlimited. So here's what I can do. I can go in here, I can view submissions, and on this last submission that I did, because on these other ones I was just playing around, is I can actually see where my points, where I lost points. Okay, so I'm going to look over here and I can go, okay, looks like I did okay there. I got 90. Oh, so here's one I missed. So it looks like I may have missed a step here. So I can actually go fix the file I've already started working on, or that I've already submitted. Okay, so I want you to understand this. You can submit the file, get a grading for it, and then go in and fix the items that you may have missed. All right, so that's what I would do. I'd go through here and look on my last submission. Okay, see what else. Looks like I missed a little something here on my reference, so I'd go in and double check that. And it looks like I may have missed a little something right on the very end. So not bad. If I was happy with 90%, I could take that, but knowing me, I'd probably redo it. Now here's another way to look at this. You can do a markup or you can do a summary. So here's a summary of this, so I can actually just get the actual targeted items I need to go back and look at. Okay, so this is great stuff. So now that you know this, modify your file, upload it again. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and close this out. So once you have the grade you want, then you take the print screen. Remember, just like we did on the lessons and exam, make sure, I like to do this, right? Make sure, because you give me the smaller file, make sure your grade and your name are showing. Take your print screen, upload, okay, and then place it in here just like we did on the lessons and exams. Give me a link. Okay, so you do write submissions, do your My Practical Exam, and actually tell me what your score was. So in this case it was 90, and if I don't remember, 90.42, okay, percent. All right, make that a heading, and then hopefully by this time you're like, yeah, I got this, I know what to do. Because at this point then you would hyperlink it to wherever you uploaded it, Google Docs, Word, whatever. Okay, the thing I'd like to tell you here is make sure, and I said this at the beginning on week 1, when you submit this file, do not, and not that you would, but somebody might think of this, is somebody else may have done the work and then given you the file. If you do, you get flagged for submission and violation or integrity, or what we call cheating, right? So don't do that. This is your work. There's something in these files that tracks what you're doing, so you need to use the file. You have to use the file you started with here, and that's the file once you've completed you give back. So you can't use somebody else's starting file. It won't work. It will throw a violation and send you and me a notice. Okay, so give this the time and attention it needs, and I'll do another, or actually in lecture today, I'll talk about how to get, where to get, I suggest Word, but it definitely does work best if you're using the latest version of Microsoft Word, which is 2013, to do this. Go into the labs if you don't have it, they all have it, and you can complete it there. Okay, hope this helps you out. See you later.